To get started. And I misspoke last week. We were not done with Rachel. So there's some more, but we will finish today because there's not too much more. So I was speaking with Jared about the veil, or he remembers hearing about when I was talking about the veil, and he said that the veil was used, and I believe is still used, to signify engagement. So when a woman's engaged, she'll cover her face with a veil. And oh yes, the Hebrew name for the well where Isaac lived, I know we talked about that, and I didn't know what it was. It is Laha Roi, and a lot of times they'll put Beer, like Beersheba. It would be Beer Laha Roi. So we talked about that. We talked about how the sins of the father were repeated. So Abraham's sins were repeated in Isaac, and it's mostly, I know we could nitpick and say that it was how he said that she was his sister and not his wife, but what it really boils down to is giving weight to the fear of man instead of the fear of God. So there was more of the fear of man within them than the fear of God, and that kind of dictated the way that they chose their speech and the way that they chose their life and the way that they treated their women, right? So both Abraham and Isaac put Sarah and Rebecca in a challenging position by having them lie to the king or to Pharaoh. So that's unfortunate, and it also, I don't know that it's unfortunate. It just happens. I mean, everybody does a thing that they don't necessarily want to do sometimes, but it shows the caliber of the women and how highly marriage was viewed and how highly these women held their husbands, that what they said to do, these women didn't question it, they didn't fight it, they didn't, at least it doesn't say that they did. They went along with these things that maybe weren't, they thought, the best idea, but they still continued to submit themselves to the decision of their husband. And because God was with them, it all turned out well. We talked about Isaac's sons, Isaac and Rebecca's sons, and how Esau wanted the instant gratification and how that's turning out for him. We'll go a little bit more into that. Like I said, I was premature in my ending of Rebecca last week. Another thing about her is there's only a handful of women that are called beautiful in the Bible, and she's one of them, and so was Sarah, her mother-in-law. So we are starting in Genesis 27. And what happened last time was we talked about how Jacob is Rebecca's favorite, and he tricked, well, he didn't really trick him because Esau came in and was saying how hungry he was. So Jacob took advantage of a situation in maybe a less than awesome way, and took his brother's birthright, as was all foretold by God to Abraham. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Same thing with the next thing that we're reading about. So here we are in 27. When Isaac was very old and blind, he called for his oldest son Esau and asked him, "My son." "I'm here, father," Esau answered. "As you can see, I'm now an old man," Isaac said, "and I may die any day now. So please take your hunting gear, your bows and arrows, go out into the field and hunt some wild game for me. Then prepare me a savory meal, the food I love, and bring it to me. After I eat it, I will bless you from my innermost being before I die." Which my soul will bless you. So that's it. That's an interesting thing. The soul in Hebrew is nephesh, and that's what Adam became when God breathed into Adam. When he created man, he became a living soul. It didn't say he became a living human, it said he became a living soul. So that's the part of our being which is the result of the connecting of our flesh in God's spirit. It creates the soul that lives within us. So Rebecca in verse 5, remembering that, so Isaac is old and he can't see well, and he's might be getting a little off in his thoughts, but remembering that Rebecca is at least 20 years younger than Isaac is. So she was eavesdropping on their conversation, and when Esau left for the field to hunt game to cook for Isaac, she found Jacob and said to him, I just overheard your father say to your brother Esau, bring me some wild game and prepare a savory meal for me afterwards. I will bless you in the presence of the Lord before I die. Listen carefully, my son, and do everything I tell you. Go out to the flock and bring me 2 of the best young goats. I'll cook them for your father and prepare a delicious meal the way he loves it. Then you take it to him to eat, and your father will bless you before he dies. So at first Jacob objected, but my brother Esau is covered with hair and I'm smooth-skinned. If my father feels my hairless skin, he'll know I'm not Esau. He'll think I'm a trickster, and I'll end up bringing a curse upon myself rather than a blessing. So Jacob's name means trickster. And interestingly, the first trick on Esau was Jacob's idea, and the second trick is Rebecca's. So it's just keeping in mind that usually lies beget more lies. So she learned how to be a liar from her husband. So he can't really be very mad at her, because if we recall, when we first met Rebecca, she was kind, and she was willing to sacrifice her own self to be able to water 2 million camels or whatever it was. So just thinking about how she would have changed, and how often I myself can look back in my past and see how I've changed, and maybe you can too, depending on the relationships that I chose to keep or the environments that I chose to be in. So Rebecca is a product of the environment where she was. So she knew that he wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the wild game and the goats, because she knew how to use the right spices, or that she could make it so delicious that it wouldn't even matter. And then Jacob, when he heard his mother's suggestion, he wasn't worried about doing the right thing. He didn't say, oh no, mom, that's a bad idea. I don't want to trick my father. I don't want to be dishonest. He said, no, I don't want to get caught and have a curse instead of a blessing. So essentially, Rebecca manipulates both men here, but Jacob went along with it. And after Jacob expressed that he didn't want to get caught, Rebecca said, my son, let any curse against you fall on me alone. Just do what I say and go get the goats for me. So, as a good little mama's boy, he went out and got all the goats, brought them to his mother. She prepared the delicious meal the way his father loved it. Then Rebecca picked out the best clothes of her older son Esau and put them on her younger son Jacob. She covered Jacob's hands with the soft part and the soft part of his neck with goat skins. Then she handed Jacob the tasty dish and bread that she had prepared, and he took them to Isaac. Father, Jacob said. Isaac replied, which one of my sons are you? Jacob answered, it is I, Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you asked. Please sit up. Eat some of this delicious game you love so that you may give me your innermost blessing. Isaac asked his son, how in the world did you find game so quickly, my son? The Lord your God caused it to come right to me, he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, please, please come closer that I may touch you, my son. I need to really know for certain that you are Esau. So Jacob inched closer to his father, who felt the skin and said, you sound like Jacob, but your hands are Esau's. Because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's, Isaac was tricked and did not recognize that it was really Jacob. As he was about to give him his blessing, Isaac asked him again, are you really my son Esau? Jacob answered, I am. Then bring the food to me, Isaac said, and let me eat my son's game, then I will give you my blessing. So Jacob gave his father the food, and he ate it. He brought him wine, and he drank it. So I can just imagine Rebecca around the corner over peeping to see, you know, if her little scheme was going well. And also remembering that he said, so Jacob, everything he said was pretty much a lie, but he said the Lord God provided the food, which essentially God is the one who provides all the meals. And God is also the one who blesses, right? So Jacob is here trying to get this blessing from Isaac, and remembering that God is the one who blesses. We can remember that because he said initially when all of this happened that the younger will serve the older. So God had already chosen to bless Jacob. That this is all arbitrary man's things. The other thing also is that Jacob used food to trick both his brother and then his father. And it's the gratification of the instant gratification of the flesh, again, that he was able to utilize, and that so many people are able to utilize when they're not doing maybe the best thing. People will choose to do things in order to take advantage of people's fleshly desires. So he eats the food, and then Isaac said to him, Jacob, my son, come near me and kiss me. So he neared and kissed him. Isaac recognized the smell of his son Esau's clothes and blessed him, saying, ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a lush field that God has blessed. May God give you heaven's dew, the fatness of earth, and an abundance of grain and new wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. May you be master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed. And that's the blessing of Abraham. And so that's that. And then Esau, no sooner had Jacob left from receiving the blessing of his father Isaac than his brother Esau returned home from hunting. He too prepared a savory meal for his father and took it to him. He said to Isaac, sit up, my father, eat some of your son's wild game so that you can give me your innermost blessing. Isaac asked him, who are you? It's Esau, your firstborn son. When Isaac realized what had happened, he began to tremble and shake violently. Who was it that hunted wild game and brought it to me? I've already eaten it all before you came, and I gave him the blessing. Yes, he will be blessed indeed. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst into bitter weeping and uncontrolled sobbing. He said to his father, bless me too, father. So I could just imagine the temper tantrum that he was throwing. Isaac answered, your brother was here and deceived me. He has taken away your blessing. Esau exclaimed, Jacob, that heel grabber, that name fits him perfectly. Now he has tricked me twice. He stole my birthright, and now he's robbed me of my blessing. Then he asked, Father, haven't you reserved a blessing for me? Isaac replied, you don't understand. My blessing will empower him to be master over you, as God said. I have already given him all his brothers and relatives as servants. My blessing will richly provide him with grain and new wine. What more is left for me to give you, my son? Esau pleaded with his father, is that the only blessing you have to give? Bless me too, father. Esau could not hold back his tears, and he wept loudly. Then Isaac, his father, spoke these words. You will live far from earth's bounty and far from heaven's dew on high. You will live by the sword and serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will break free from his control. Esau hated Jacob because he stole his blessing. He said to himself, in a short time my father will be gone. After the time for mourning his death has passed, I will kill my brother Jacob. So it's interesting that they're really into rules here again, because essentially Isaac was not the one that blessed Jacob, it was God. But because they believed these things, and because Esau believed that he did not receive a blessing, that's how he viewed the world. As oftentimes I found my thoughts dictate how I view the world. If I believe something, then it kind of puts on blinders to everything else. So if I believe, like, I used to be a pretty bad pessimist. Everything was broken, everything was bad, everything was wrong. So when I went around, I would see everything broken, everything bad, everything wrong, because that was my belief system. But as soon as that shifted, now I can see different opportunities and the same situation almost through different glasses. So because they were really into these rules, it dictated the way that they behaved. And also now Esau has this hatred in his heart towards his brother. So verse 42, but when Rebekah found out about her older son Esau's plan, she quickly sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, listen, your brother Esau is planning to exact revenge by killing you. My son, you must do what I say. Run away at once to my brother Laban in Haran. You can live with him for a while until your brother calms down. After your brother's anger has died down and he has forgotten what you've done to him, I will send a messenger to bring you back from there. Why should I lose both my sons in one day? Later, Rebekah said to Isaac, I'm so disgusted with our Hittite daughters-in-law. I'd rather die than see Jacob marry one of those local girls, these Hittite women. Remember, Esau had taken Hittite brides kind of as a nose up towards what had happened before when his birthright was stolen. He knew that that Rebekah and Isaac didn't like the Hittite women, so he took that kind of as a I'll show you thing. So she sends him back to the land where she's from. Before Jacob left, so this is chapter 28. Before Jacob left, Isaac called for him, blessed him, and gave these instructions. I forbid you to marry any Canaanite women. Leave at once for the land of your grandfather Bethuel in Padan Aram, and find one of the young women there to marry, one of your uncle Laban's daughters. May the God who is always more than enough bless you abundantly. May he make you fruitful and multiply your descendants until you become many tribes. May he impart you and your seed the blessing of Abraham, so that you may possess the land where you now live as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham. So remembering that they're in the land right now that God promised. They're in Canaan, but Jacob was going to marry someone from, it's actually one of his cousins. So Isaac sent Jacob on his way to Aram. And again, so Rebekah, it was a half-truth. So she went and told Isaac that, and it kind of shows where their marriage was at, right? She didn't confide in him that Esau was plotting to kill their son. Like, Jacob's not only Rebekah's son, he's also Isaac's son. But she didn't confide in her husband that her one son was was plotting to kill the other one. So she kind of told another half-truth. So Isaac sends Jacob away, the land of his grandfather, and Esau had learned that Isaac, this is verse 6, that Isaac had blessed Jacob again and sent him away to Padan Aram to find a wife there. And that while blessing him, Isaac had instructed him, don't marry a Canaanite woman. Furthermore, Esau found out that Jacob had obeyed his parents and fled to Padan Aram. Esau, knowing that his father Isaac disapproved of Canaanite women, okay, here's where it is, went to Ishmael's clan, so that's his uncle, Isaac's brother, and married a woman named Mahalath to be one of his wives. She was the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, and the sister of Nebaioth. So that name, Mahalat, means stringed instrument. Okay, so this next part, I'm just going to cruise through at the most basic level, because again, this is not a mystic Bible study. This is a ladies' Bible study. So before we do that, we can just think about how Rebecca would have felt, again, feeling like she cannot confide in her husband about what Esau was talking about. And then also her baby boy, her favorite child, was leaving now. So just thinking about how that would be for her. And then also her other son married someone that she knew was just going to bring trouble to the family. So that's where she's at. So as Jacob leaves, he is passing through, he leaves Beersheba and goes to Haran, and he finds a place and lays down and has a dream about a stairway that goes up to heaven and then back down from heaven, and he sees angels going up and down. God comes to him in this dream and blesses him and says again that he's laying on the ground that will be given to him and his descendants. They'll become as numerous as specks of dust on the earth, and they will extend their territory in all directions. Through your descendants, I will bless the whole world. Never forget, I am always with you. I will protect you wherever you go, and one day I will bring you back to this land, for I will neither leave you nor fail to fulfill every word I have promised you. So he wakes up, realizes God is there, and Jacob commits himself to God. So in the past verse, it said, the Lord your God, when he was speaking to his father about how he found the food so quickly. And this time, it's saying he accepts God as his God also. And then he builds some stone pillars, an altar for God there in that place where he had the dream. So Jacob, chapter 29, Jacob resumes his journey and enters the land east of Canaan. One day Jacob came to a well out in the open country where the shepherds watered their animals. 3 flocks of sheep and goats were laying near the well, which had a large heavy stone covering the opening. Whenever all the flocks gathered there, the shepherds would roll away the stone from the mouth of the well, water their sheep, and then roll the stone back over top of the well. Jacob approached them and said, "Good day, friends. Where are you from?" "We're from Haran," they answered. Do you happen to know Laban, a grandson of Nahor?" "We do," they said. "How's he doing?" "He's doing well. As a matter of fact, here comes his daughter Rachel right now with her flock." So that's where we're going to stop. And that's the end of Rebecca for real. And like I said last time, next time she's mentioned is Genesis 49:31, where she's buried with Isaac in Abraham and Sarah in the tomb that Abraham bought for Sarah. And Jewish tradition says she was either 120 or 134 years old at the time of her death. So that concludes Rebecca.